Right, hi lads and lasses, and welcome to Darts Coaching with Dynamite Dave. Today's video is going to be slightly different than the last three that we've done. The last three was stood up, teaching you how to get your feet into the position, the building blocks of the stance, the building blocks of your throw, and the foundations of your throw, then up to the upper body, which is where your adjustments come from when you're going around the board. And then up onto the mechanical throw. And what we've done there is, all I've done in the last three videos is give you the very basics of how to do the Dynamite Dave throw. I've only given you the basics because what you have to do is nail those basics before you move on. It's nothing worse than trying to do everything from something new all at once. So if somebody's teaching you, let's say in the bigger scheme of things, how to build a house, within that trade of doing that, you've got to know how to lay bricks, tiles, how to plaster walls, how to put flues in, how to put this in, how to put a roof on, how to do joinery. And you can see there's loads and loads of elements there of different things that you've got to learn if you want to be able to produce a house that's fit to live in. Dynamite Dave's throw is a million times less complicated than that, but again, there is still certain elements to it that if you want to get it absolutely bang on and be as good as you've seen me in the past, if you go back and have a look in the videos, if you want to be that good, you've got to put the legwork in. I'm nowhere near as good as I used to be, but I will get there. For the simple reason is nothing ever stops me. We're getting back to where I used to be and hopefully doing some competitions and what have you. So what we're going to do today in the video. So today in the video, there's going to be two sections to this. The first one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some questions that I've been asked over the last three videos. I've only picked certain questions out, and I've picked out the ones that I think will help the most amount of people. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go on to the next section, which is going to be another little instructional thing, which is about the grip. So my theory on the grip, what we'll do just before we introduce that video is I will go into the mindset behind it. I'll explain that to you, and then we'll run the video, and that will be the end of today's video, and then we may even make one again tomorrow if we're feeling up to it. Right, so let's get to these questions. Right, the first question, it goes along these lines. Rather than me reading it off a sheet of paper, it goes along these lines. This chap says that his natural throw is awful. So what he's done is he's adopted the Dynamite Dave way. He throws a lot more face onto the board than the Dynamite Dave way. He says what he's done is he's adopted the DD way of stance, but when he does it that way, his darts hardly stick in the board when they're falling out the board. When he goes back to his old way, from what I can gather there, it sounds like they're going halfway in. The reason for that is because twofold. Number one, I can absolutely guarantee on his old throw, he's got a short, stabby throw. So instead of it being a nice long swing, like I do, he'll be delivering the darts to the board with a short, stabby throw, which is what you've got to do. If you're fetching the dart up in front of your face, you've only got from here to there to let go of it. If you're coming to the side of your face, think about it, you've got from here to let go of it. So it's from there to there, or from here to here to let go of it. Massive difference. Do it again proper side on so you can see the difference. Somebody comes up and they're throwing from in front of the face they've got from there, because obviously the dart would hit your face if it was any further back, to there to let go. So you've got a distance of about that much. If you're doing the Dynamite Dave way and you come into the side of your face, your actual arm comes all the way into here and it goes all the way out to here before you release the dart. So you've got double the distance. And it's like anything. If you swing a hammer and you just lift it up off the top of the nail and hit it like that and try and hit it as hard as you can, you're going to move that nail a couple of millimetres, aren't you? 2 millimetres, 3 millimetres. If you get hold of that hammer, swing it up in the air and fetch it down on it, then you're going to knock that nail possibly all the way in one hit. It's all about the longer swing you've got, the more actual kinetic energy you've got in that finger, that object that you're throwing. So if you're throwing with a short stabby throw and he's turned side on and he's going from the side of his head, he'll still be trying to throw in his old way. Number two, his muscles, because he's used to throwing from in front of his face, his muscles will be different than ones used if you're doing it that way. The muscle will be used in a different way. Obviously, it's still your bicep, I think it's your tricep and your forearm. It's still the same thing, but you're using them in a different manner. And we all know, if you never decorate and what have you, and then wife turns around and says, right, we're decorating the house, by the time that you've papered or painted one room, you're absolutely destroyed. Your muscles, they're on fire, you don't know whether you're coming or going. It's exactly the same thing, only to a slightly different degree. As I say, got up again with this morning. I have to apologise, sorry about this, but not a lot I can do about it. So, my advice to you is, if you're coming from the side of your face, make sure you've got a nice long swing. If you've got a nice long swing, you don't need to have as much arm speed because you've got more power behind the throw. Rather than that little tap, you've got that long throw. So that will help your dart stick in the board. So give that a try, mate, and I'm sure that'll work for you. Right, now then, question number 2. Right, now, second question. What's happened is this chap, or lass, I'm assuming it's a chap, they usually are. What he's done is he's doing the Dynamite Dave way, he's converted to the Dynamite Dave way, he's trying to do it all, he's getting his toe in the right position and everything, he's setting himself up. But he says when he sets himself up, he actually throws in the mechanical way with the vertical forearm and everything, it's going off to one side. This was explained in the last video, which was the mechanical throw, but just in case anybody's slightly uncertain on it, you adjust from the hips. So when you set yourself up for the first time in the mechanical throw, you get back onto the stop, you go forward, and the dart goes over into, for a left-hander, go over into the 1, for a right-hander, be over into the 5. But if that's happening, all you do is a minute adjustment with your hips. Overdo it in the first place. So set yourself up, throw one dart, concentrate on throwing your next dart exactly the same, but move your hips a little bit. And just you watch, if you're used to going into, if you're right-handed and you go over into the 5, and you move your hips, so you move like a gun turret, and you throw exactly the same, you'll find that you'll either go into 20 or the 1. If you've gone into the 1, you've slightly over-adjusted. So all you do is adjust back a tiny little bit. And over the months, over the weeks and months, this will become natural. I do not anymore think for 1 second where I'm setting myself up. 1 in 10 people who actually watch my videos are subscribed. To subscribe to the Dynamite Dave YouTube channel costs absolutely nothing. Not 1 cent, not 1 shilling, not €1. Costs you absolutely nothing. There's a little button down there that says subscribe. Click on that red button. And if you want to, there's a little bell at the side of it. If you click on that, it will notify you whenever I fetch a video out. I've noticed 1 or 2 comments, now that I'm 2-3 videos in, saying, I've just realised that you're back. It's quite obvious that they haven't clicked the bell, because if they had done, they would have got that notification on the first video that I put. And that's how important it is. You could be weeks, if not months behind, or you might even miss a video that's very important to you, addressing a subject that where you're struggling or where you'd like some advice. So it's very important that if you really enjoy the channel, click that little icon bell down there. Third way, if you want to support the channel, if you want to send me a tip for what I do for the darting community, and if I've helped you massively, it's dead simple. If you look at the bottom, there's 3 dots at the bottom of the player. Click on there. I think it's the second or third one down, says super thanks. If you click on that, you can put a little small donation in, a couple of dollars, a couple of quid, a fiver, a tenner, entirely what you think is appropriate. And if you do that, I really do appreciate that. Again, it just helps oil the wheels. Right, so thanks very much for watching. And let's get back to the main body of the video. As I fetch the dart from my serving hand and fetch it up, I'm already locking in to the position that I need. That's all. And the rest of the adjustment is done by simply looking at the target and allowing your hand to put the dart exactly where you want it to go. And that is how simple the Dynamite Dave way is. Right, so simple as that. Next question. Right, so question number 3. Right, the next question is, it's this chap, it's more of a statement really, and I'm going to try and help him a little bit. He's trying the 90-degree turn to the board, and I think personally what he's doing is he's not allowing his shoulder out because he's saying that his darts are going all over the place. Now that suggests to me that he's still trying to adjust what he's doing with his mind and his arm. You need to not involve the arm at all. The arm has to be doing the same thing every time you go to the board. And don't forget, the more you repeat one thing, the better you become at it. I had a young lad in the pub the other day. Every different part of the board, and most dart players do this, I've got to say. Every different part of the board he was throwing differently. This is a big lad, he's well over 6 foot. And what he's doing is, instead of setting himself up and adjusting down, he's standing bolt upright and throwing down. So he's throwing weak, and his darts are like, he'll let go of one, and it'll go off into up near the double top. He'll throw the next one, it'll go near to the treble 20, and then he'll throw the next one, and it'll be out off into the 1 or the 5. Because what he's doing is instead of keeping the core rock solid and just adjusting his body that tiny little bit to make a tiny difference. So if you throw the first one and it's just outside the 60, you throw the second one, it's just inside the 60, throw the third one, it's just inside the 60. If you're trying to adjust with your elbow and your arm and all that, all you've got to do is drop your elbow a centimetre, and then the dart is that far below the treble 20. If you set yourself up and throw exactly the same every time, and just allow your body just to deflate that tiny little bit at the hips, to come down a little bit, you will soon learn exactly where you need to be to hit each and every number. Like I said, there's only about 6 positions, and then the rest of it is just done basically by looking at the target. And that's one thing that we'll get to when we're in the grip and what have you. And when I'll do the next video. The next video will be moving the throw around the board. This one's going to be the grip. The next one will be moving the throw around the board, and I'm going to go proper in depth into how to do these different body positions. And it's so simple, it's unbelievable. Right, final question, and this is from one of the stalwarts of the channel, Aileen Harvey. She's been with me for, bloody hell, 6-7 years, maybe, something like that. She wasn't here right at the beginning, but she weren't far off. It might even be the best part of a decade. And Aileen's asked a question, which is one of the ones that I'm sure she knows the answer to, but it's good to provoke conversation. And this is what a lot of my people that have been with me for a long time, they do. They'll come in and they'll ask questions that they already know the answer to, but they know it's questions that other people have got in their head. And if you do that, I'm absolutely fine with that. If you want to put one in there that you think to yourself will help other people, even though you know the answer to it, that is perfectly fine, and I'm perfectly willing to go through it. Now, Aileen says, this might be a daft question, but should you practice in the clothes that you play darts in? For me, abso-friggin-lutely. Absolutely. For the simple reason is, and you'll hear me say this quite a lot, darts is 80% between your ears. It's 20% talent, 80% mental side. And what the mental side does is you fortify it by doing things in routines. You have routines, and those routines set things into your mind. And that's exactly what we have to do with darts. If you walk into your garage, or walk into your bedroom, or into your kitchen, wherever you have your board, and you have 2, 3 or 4 visits and then walk away, those 3 or 4 visits will do more damage than will do good. I absolutely promise you that. And the other thing that I promise you and all is, even if you're going to go and spend an hour throwing at the board, if you're doing that aimlessly, you're going to learn very, very little. Structured practice using the Dynamite Dave practice sheets and the board management sheets will be what fetch you on immensely. For the simple reason is structured practice is how we get from being mediocre to being good, to being very good, to being excellent, to being world class. I mean, you think about it this way. If you've got kids, you might be young, you might be a kid yourself. But if you've got kids, you'll know if they want to go to football practice, right? When they go to football practice, they're taught how to kick a ball properly. They don't go to football practice and just basically kick the ball backwards and forwards. That at the end is exactly the same as the Dynamite Dave way, where we say we do a structured practice and at the end of it we play so many legs. That's the reward, is playing the legs at the end of it, doing what you're practicing for. You have to forgive me. Right, sorry about that. I had to go and blow my nose. I just couldn't stand it any longer. It was running down the back of my throat and everything. It's ringing. So it's very important to me, and the way I see things, of practicing in your kit. So if you want to be a county player or a serious pub player, or basically if you want to get really good at the game, it's all about attitude. If I'm practicing normally for the pub, I always make sure that I've got a shirt on, so something that's loose that I can throw in. Whatever you do, never throw in anything with long sleeves on it. Please do not throw in long sleeves. Do not throw in your bare feet. Do not throw in your slippers. Do not throw in Crocs. Do not throw in sliders. Now, the PDC have relaxed the rules, so now there's, as long as, I think they've got to be black with a black sole, or maybe a white sole. You can have a white sole now, because obviously the rules are relaxing slightly, but you can have trainers now. And everybody loves a pair of trainers, don't they? I've got a pair on right now. well, walking shoes, but light trainers, and they're very comfortable. So if you get a pair of them, go and find yourself a pair of them and think to yourself, right, these are now my dart shoes. These are now my darts trainers. Every time you go to play, even if you've only got an old baggy t-shirt, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a dart shirt, but you can always treat yourself to one off my eBay shop if you want to. So you've got total and free movement. Then what you want is, like I say, you need your trainers. Doesn't really matter about what pants you wear, but obviously if you go to play a PDC game and what have you, there will be a dress code. So it's up to you what you do with that. But yes, in my opinion, you should always practice in the gear that you're going to play darts in. Right, so I think that's the end of this little section. That's all the questions answered for this little section. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over into part 2, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the grip. So let's get over into part 2 right now. Right, so here we are over in part 2. I've had a bit of a rest, I've had a nice drink of tea and what have you, and I'm back again now. Right, so the grip. This is very subjective, and the grip is quite a personal thing. I don't say to people, you must grip in my way. What I say to people is, have a look at the way that it works, have a good think about it, think about how much sense it makes, and like the rest of the Dynamite Dave way, is it worth having a go? Again, like the rest of the Dynamite Dave way, do not try the grip and have 3 or 4 visits and go, oh, it's crap this, it don't work. Because it won't work after 3 or 4 visits. It might not work after 10, 20 or 30 visits. But believe me, 2 or 3 days down the line, you will then start to get a lot more control over your darts and where they're going to land. A hell of a lot more. Even if you've adopted the Dynamite Dave way, but you're holding the darts in your own way, you will see the logic behind putting that point precisely where you want that point to land, i.e. in the double 16, the treble 20, treble 19 bullseye, rather than generally a centimetre round it, is obviously far better, because you're going to hit a lot more 180s, aren't you? And you're going to finish a lot more legs. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over and I'm going to play you a short little video, which is one of my instructional videos. Right, so let's get on with that little video. So let's get over there and have a look at the grip. So let's go over there right now. Right, so here we are in video 4, and what we're going to do in video 4 is we're going to have a look at the actual Dynamite Dave grip. I'm going to do it with both hands, so what we'll do, as with normal tradition, is we'll start right-handed. So, the Dynamite Dave grip, and as you can see, I can do it right-handed as well as left-handed. That's how simple it is. It's the simplicity in itself. The thumb goes up straight. You can either have it out like that or in, it depends. Mine just goes absolutely straight and vertical, like that. So we've got one finger on the top of the barrel, one thumb up the side of the barrel, and one finger on the point. If you look at the point nice and closely, you'll see that that point sits along my fingernail. This is my right hand, so my nail hasn't grown or anything to fit this dart. That is just the natural way that your fingers are, and that will just sit underneath your nail. That means that when the dart is like this, there is nothing controlling it. The amount of people I see, some of them throw like this with the finger on top, and as the arm comes over, it goes to this position before you let go of the darts, which drives the point down, makes the wing on the back act on more air to drag it up, so your darts go up and down in the air. And sometimes they land in the board like this. I've heard a lot of people say that the darts land weird in the board. As soon as they adopt my grip, that all stops. The other way that they do it, another one that I've seen plenty of, is a grip like this, where what they're doing is this finger is underneath the point, or this finger is underneath the point. What happens with that again is, as you're releasing, as you can see, what you do is let's see if I can grip this properly in that grip, like that. As your hand comes over to release the dart, as your hand opens, you can see I've drove the point upwards in the air, so it's the opposite thing. So then the air pressure on the bottom of the dart has to try and equalise it, so the dart does this through the air, and it can either land this way in the board or this way, or it can even land this way or this way. So the Dynamite Dave grip is something that I've developed again over the years to make it as neutral as possible. So the Dynamite Dave grip, then what we'll do is we'll look at the left-handed version, which is a lot more natural for me. As you can see, the point is underneath the nail again, or at the side of the nail. You don't have to have a nail cut for it. All it needs to do is it just runs down that little recess there in your finger. So that's where it goes, and when you've got your hand in the right position, that's neutral. Nothing pulls it down, nothing drives it up. So as your hand releases, your actual front finger has no effect whatsoever on the dart. So that is the Dynamite Dave grip. Have a quick look from the front. So you can see the one finger is on the top at the front, the thumb is straight, and these other two fingers here, a lot of people have asked me about this. These, what they do is, when I set up, you'll see when I come up like this, my hand is like this, and it's like a little fan. But what it does is, you've got your finger on the point, which is pretty solid anyway, but you've got your third finger there supporting your second finger, which is on the point, so that keeps it absolutely rock solid. And then the fifth finger, which is the little finger, is behind that, doing exactly the same thing. Now what happens is, as the hand comes back to here, my hand will open like this when it gets to the back of the throw. So when it actually goes forward, I've only got the three fingers holding the dart. But the fact the other two fingers are there, steady it as it comes up like this, and then the fingers will open as they come to the back, and then I'll deliver the dart forward. Right, so that is the Dynamite Dave grip. Right, so that was the grip. You've seen the video now. I'm hoping that you get the theory behind it. Those 3 points of contact with the one on the point is the one that gives you the stability and the ability to put the dart where you're looking at, where you want it to go. Also, the Dynamite Dave way of gripping the dart means that you can grip virtually any type of darts. The only type of darts that I've ever had any real problems with are Mervyn Kings, which are the ones that are like that all the way down. And there's just nowhere to get your fingers comfortable in them. Obviously Mervyn King can, and maybe some other people that throw those darts have adapted their grip to suit the dart. But I don't believe in that, I think that you should be able to grip the dart the way you want to grip it, and not the way the dart dictates that you should grip it. Dynamite Dave way means that you can grip, you know, I've got shot darts, everything from all the fancy shaped shot darts. I can throw virtually every single one of them, from the Loxley Robin Hoods all the way through to the shot Drakkars. I can throw every single one of those darts, and I throw them in exactly the same way with exactly the same finger position on them. The only thing that I do adjust sometimes is the span of my grip, depending on how long the barrel is. But that's natural anyway. When you get hold of it, your fingers just naturally open a little bit wider because the barrel's a bit longer. So you don't even really have to think about that. So that is the grip. That is this video concluded. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something today. I really do. Don't forget, lads and lasses, as I say in every video, you'll only ever get out of this game what you're prepared to put in. And always, 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 toe to the hockey!